Hey everyone, welcome back to the Errant Venture. I'm Steve.
I'm Adam.
And if you guys have not heard the news, it's not really news, it's a rumor. And that rumor right now is that George Lucas is going to be returning, or at least wants to return to the Star Wars universe.
Yep, so this actually, according to Comic Book News, so they claim that Lucas is actually going to, well, one of the rumors, obviously, is that Lucas will help bankroll a new trilogy. So he would most likely be actively involved as a producer. Nothing, however, nothing is official. Disney has not said anything. Lucasfilm hasn't said anything. Lucas himself hasn't said anything. So nothing is really official.
You know, when he gave up control of Lucas for the dollars, you know, when he sold to Disney, as everyone does to the House of Mouse, he I believe he expected to keep some sort of sense of control, continue to be at least a voice, and we learned that he actually
I did, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think I actually did read that was kind of supposed to be part of the deal, where he would have some sort of voice in anything that comes up.
So I feel like knowing the guy, not that I know the guy, but what I've read and what I've watched about him, that is something I can only imagine coming up with this beloved franchise, all these characters, this entire world.
40 years of building a world, characters, places, vehicles, everything.
Just to say, here's the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do that. Like, I've had it before where even, I'd have a job at work and I'd be switching jobs to something else, and someone else comes in to take my old position. It's kind of like, I kind of don't like that guy doing my job.
Listen, I can tell you for a fact that I always, every year, because I'm a teacher, and every year, this time of year, in June and May, I get very anxious because, even though I have tenure, you never know. So, sure, I'm still going to have a job, but am I going to be teaching the same subject, or am I going to be teaching another subject? Well, since I built up the program that I'm teaching, I've always said, every year I'm like, you know what? If they put somebody else in charge, I'm not giving them anything. It's all mine.
I had a similar position where I came up with a program, and it was always, well, if I leave, I'm not passing it on. But, when Lucas gave up everything, gave up control, said, here's the keys, I can imagine it being very difficult to stand by and having that semblance of, hey, you know what? I still want some sort of involvement. And you see it a lot when companies buy out other companies. A lot of times they will keep some of the management. They'll keep people because these are people who know things. You can buy the company, but you can't buy the knowledge. You can't buy the experience. But you can offer it a job.
Yep.
And I think that might have been what was expected, was a job. And he has been behind the scenes in a few different episodes of The Mandalorian, and had some say in certain other things. And I know
there's a rumor that he's writing a couple episodes of Andor.
I have not heard that one yet,
yep.
But that's great to know. But we also know that...
Well, that's a rumor. I don't know if it's actually true, but...
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But we also do know that Dave Filoni, he's got the guy on speed dial. They talk. They're friends. They hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So, they go out and they get blue milk together. So, it would be interesting...
From Galaxy's Edge in Disney World.
There you go. So, it would be interesting to see what would happen if George Lucas did come back. Now, we kind of got a taste for when he came back. We saw what happened with the prequels. He came back, he was in charge of, he oversaw all the prequels, and he didn't have much of a say, if anything. Actually, I don't think he had any say in the sequels.
No, he didn't have it. He didn't have any say. It was basically like, you're a parent, you send your child off to college, and all you can do is sit back and watch whatever they do. You have no say in it, you can't control it, you got nothing involved except for watching.
So here's my worry. And I kind of, I read some articles as I've grown as a person, as I've gotten older. I was in middle school when the prequels came out, when Episode 1 came out. Sorry.
Okay, I'm out of here. Bye. See you later.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was in college.
I won't promise it won't happen again. But, one of my favorite lightsaber battles in the entire Star Wars is Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul. I love it. It's one of the best ones out there because I'm just a huge Maul fan.
Yeah.
And to think that George Lucas wanted to scrap it. He wanted to scrap it because he felt that after Qui-Gon Jinn died and it became Obi-Wan who, if you believe what they say, touched the dark side in that moment, fought with emotion, that he said that part of the lightsaber battle of just Obi-Wan versus Maul was too fast.
Huh.
That it was too fast. He wanted to slow it down.
See, now as far as the prequels go, my personal feeling, there were parts of it where he just phoned it in. At that point, he just kind of phoned it in. I kind of feel as though he was just tired of it. Everybody was, we were all cramming for more Star Wars. And he was just like, okay, fine, whatever, let's do it. And he just kind of phoned it in. But one thing that I really liked about the prequels, and obviously this has a lot to do mostly with, the technology that we had at the time, was the lightsaber battles. I really felt that as we're looking back on it, the original trilogy was seriously lacking in the lightsaber battle. I mean, even between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, it was just like, like literally, I was watching people who were like really like old people trying to lightsaber when they're usually walking around with a cane. You know what I mean?
Well, and you and I were actually talking about this the other day, and we're comparing the lightsaber battle at the end of Rogue One to the lightsaber battle between where we're comparing Vader's hallway scene at the end of Rogue One to Vader taking on Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope.
I know what you meant.
But I want to make sure they know what I meant.
Yeah, true. I apologize.
So we're talking about that, and it's night and day. A couple days, a couple weeks go through between each part, and you see this Vader moving swiftly, killing everything in sight, and then you see the slow battle. Now, don't be wrong. It was a big difference. In one, he's going up against 10, 15, guys with blasters. And the other one, there is that emotional attachment of, hey, I'm going to kill my former master.
Yeah, but again,
it's also the times.
Yeah. And I mean, really, when you think about it, it was a Jedi versus a Sith. I mean, even like in the... never mind. Anyways, I was going to say something about, even in the prequels, but again, it was different times.
And that's something we touched on when we did our first episode. Yeah. Would A New Hope stand up today? And where we do think that it would need to be sped up.
Yep.
Back then, people had there was no social media back then. People had attention spans back then. Nowadays, you lose people real quickly if you are too slow.
Now, when we were during our discussion that we were having about that scene, a little plug for whoever did it, and I don't remember who it was, but I did tell you about the fan-made redo of scene 38, which is the Obi-Wan.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, and it was really well made. So if you haven't really seen it, go on to YouTube. SC38, I think was like the actual title of it. The guy who did it did excellent job, and it's a fan made video. Nothing official, nothing canon, but it is very well made. And it really that's a better lightsaber fight than what we got in A New Hope. So, but back to the topic of should George Lucas come back? Honestly, I feel that now would be a good time for him to come back. I think that it would do the franchise justice, and I think he actually would do an excellent job writing new material because he has seen what was already made and the fact that he didn't have any control over it whatsoever. I think it would kind of motivate him to, not phone it in, but to sit there and actually write it out.
So, I personally, the guy made something that I feel like, in my own way, I'm a big part of. I'm a supporter. I'm a member of the Star Wars community. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot more people out there with a lot more things on their walls than I got. But at the end of the day, as much as the guy has done for me, and as much as growing up as I've done in his world, I don't want him to come back because I saw what with the prequels, and it took time for me to be able to appreciate the prequels. And a lot of people were in the same boat when they first came out. It was because the expectations were up here; they were high. You had high expectations, and
then we got Jar Jar.
We got Jar Jar and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we just learned mostly about Anakin's dislike of sand.
But that did actually ties into our last podcast that we did about was the Clone Wars necessary? The Clone Wars TV necessary?
Well, so I'm in our conversation right now. I'm pretending that never happened.
Oh, okay.
That there were no Clone Wars because he, at the end of the day, he didn't really do so much with that. He was still over it.
Yeah.
But it was being done up by other people. But then, and I'm gonna reach out of the world for a minute. My understanding, and I can't say that I've seen them. My understanding is the last few Indiana Jones movies were not that good.
So, I liked.
Like I'm wondering.
I liked the Crystal Skull to a point. I kind of feel that Crystal Skull kind of went over the edge because it really dealt with aliens, and we're talking about the same franchise that that's a piece of fuzz. I thought that was a bug. Sorry guys, sorry about that, guys. I don't like bugs, so just be glad
you're in the wrong house.
Just be glad it wasn't on me, otherwise you would have seen me freaking out. But anyways, as I was saying, we're talking about the same franchise where you had Kali Ma reach in and actually pull somebody's heart out. But yeah, I do think that the aliens were way over the top. There were a lot of issues with it, and I know a lot of people had a problem with it. I personally enjoyed the movie for the most part. I just kind of fast forward the very end when you see the alien ship, and
spoiler alert.
Okay,
I'm kidding, but
who hasn't seen it? I mean, really, honestly, who was a fan of Indiana Jones and didn't see it by now?
Fair enough, but
I see your point though.
I
do see your point with that.
My worry is, it'd be like he's coming back to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
My hope is that he would be as invested into it. My hope is that he would, want to take it seriously. But at the same time, I don't think that he would have the full creative control that he would want. I think the only way that he would be happy is if he was able to do it the way he wants. And maybe working with Dave Filoni would help him because I
don't think that would ever happen.
What, the two of them working together?
No. Him doing George Lucas doing what he wants.
It wouldn't.
Not with the mouse in charge.
But that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
I think him coming back and his name being on something is all about the money. And I'm not even saying for him. Because at the end of the day, yeah, he will be even richer than he already is. But for Disney to say, hey, George Lucas had a say in this. George Lucas was involved. George Lucas produced. George Lucas XYZ. That right there, They're going to put more butts in the seats than you have seen in years.
And I think, and to interrupt you again, I do apologize. Really, I need like a jar, like a swear jar, and I should just put a penny in every time. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just it's on my mind, and boom, I got to say it. But I think that would be the only reason why Disney would bring him back, is to say, hey, George Lucas did this, and here you go, fanboys. The man is in charge again. You should be happy. There you go.
It's giving you that carrot. It's saying,
Yeah.
hey, here's your cake. You're going to eat it, but you might not like it because at the end of the day, you bought it and you're fed.
Yeah.
And, in my mind, that made sense. It might not have to people listening, but essentially what I'm saying is, and what we've been talking about, it's just to say something. It's his name on a billboard. It's it'll make him feel better. It'll make everyone more anticipating it. It'll be like, even though we've been getting so much Star Wars, and we went through a drought. If you think about it, in between the prequels and the Force Awakens.
Not only that, between Return of the Jedi and the prequels,
Exactly.
there was a big drought.
But we went through those droughts, and now Disney has been pumping out so much content, pumping out so much Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they're learning, hey, we're putting out some good stuff, and I love that they're doing it on Disney Plus. I love the episodic way they're doing things. I think that's a better way of doing it, and that way when you see the movie and when there is a movie, it's a little more special that way.
Yeah.
But how do you get people to keep coming back when remember, there's more movies coming out. There's already more signed up.
Oh yeah.
So how do you keep people putting butts in seats? How do you keep us coming in instead of just going, oh hey, Star Wars 15 just came out?
Yeah.
You bring in Lucas.
I agree. I agree with you. I think that would be the only way Disney would bring back Lucas, is for that purpose, to sit there and say, hey, here's George Lucas. There you go, guys. But for me, I know that if he would come back, I would hope, and I think he would, write like he did originally with the original trilogy. Because, again, he saw what happened with the sequel trilogy. He saw there was no plan. It was complete and utter chaos. It was not consistent at all. The most consistent you had was only between Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, and that's because JJ was the one who did them both. So I think that I would hope, and I think that would kind of motivate him to really put a lot of effort into something new. But yeah, I think the only way Disney would bring him back is just to say, Lucas.
So I have a closing question for you.
Go ahead.
So let's say George Lucas is coming back. He's coming back. Would you rather him come up with a whole new trilogy, or would you rather him go and do what would have been his version of the sequel trilogy?
Now that's a good question. So when you say do a whole new version of the sequel trilogy, do you mean like with the actors at the age they are now, or get new actors to do something that came after Return of the Jedi?
Let's go ahead and, for the sake of realism, keep it with the same amount of time has passed.
Okay. In that case,
like, don't get me wrong, I would love if they just made the Thrawn trilogy take place 5 years later, but no, at this point, let's pretend Mark Hamill's going to be in it,
okay.
Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford.
See, that's the thing.
Or would you prefer him make a whole new trilogy of Star Wars stories?
I would rather him do new sequels, but not necessarily, and I'm sorry, I know you're all going to hate me now. You guys are going to hate me, but
this is Adam talking, by the way.
I would say, yes, this is me. not Steve, this is me. I would rather it be kind of like the Thrawn trilogy, or something that it takes place in between. Um, in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. And here's my reason why. It's already out there. You can sit there and tell me, oh, you know those sequel trilogies? Yeah, they're not canon anymore. They don't exist. Just ignore them. But I can't. They're there. They're out there. I've seen it. I can't unsee it.
I can never imagine Disney saying, hey, this isn't canon. They might find a way to make 3 movies that can take its place in a different universe, but they're never going to say that those movies
that's just
were
lazy.
canon.
That's just lazy.
Well, that's the whole veil of the Force.
Yeah.
I think the whole veil of the Force
and
concept,
that's just lazy.
The whole concept I don't like.
So that's why I'm saying, we already have someone who can play Han Solo. I think he did a great job in it.
I make Solo 2 happen. Hashtag.
Totally. Make it happen. Because we already have a Lando Calrissian. Again, awesome job. And Sebastian Stan. Splitting image of Luke Skywalker. Let's make that happen as well. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. So that's what I would see. That's what I would want.
And I agree. And it's one of the things that I've said it before. I'll say it again. I feel that there's a giant gap in there. And then you can see that they're trying to fill it in with some of the TV shows and some of these things that are these various things that are going to be coming out between The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series, the Book of Boba Fett. But the thing is, those are all going to be talking about, those specific characters.
Yeah.
People do want to know what's Luke up to. Obviously, you have the gist of it. He goes and makes a Jedi Academy. You obviously you have the gist of what's that Solo married Leia, had a kid, and things just didn't work out, and Chewie just went along with the ride.
Yeah.
So, but there's so much more, especially when you bring legends into it. And I really hope, because Dave Filoni has just been such a big supporter of legends and bringing things from the Legends universe into canon, that I would love to see the movie version of the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Is it going to I mean the original Thrawn trilogy. Will it happen? No.
Probably not.
Because of Rebels, it's not going to happen. The route that they took Thrawn's character.
Oh, there's still ways. There are still ways to get around that.
Oh, hey, at the end of the day,
there is.
At the end of the day, it's Star Wars. Until you see a severed head lying next to a body, no one's dead.
Yeah.
But I would love to see, what our favorite characters are up to in that time, and I think Luke's cameo in The Mandalorian showed.
Which was awesome.
It was awesome. But I think that cameo in there showed that that's what the whole world wants to see. They want to know what Luke is up to. And I just thought of a great topic for a future podcast. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Cool. I mean, you know what? Even if we started with a more recent story and then do, other trilogies, to take the place of the sequels, I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, but, at least you're still setting it up.
Just so you guys know, the next big Star Wars announcement is going to be Ewoks in space. Can you imagine? That'd be awesome. Awesomely bad. Really terrible. It'll just be a horrible idea.
Well, we had the 2 Ewok movies. The Caravan of Courage. We spent the whole movie trying to rescue Mom and Dad, and then Battle for Endor. Within the first 5 minutes, we kill them all.
I think that's a great place to end this. I think that...
Where do you go from here?
Well, yeah, mass extinction of Ewoks. I think we're good.
No, it wasn't the Ewoks. It was the family.
There you go.
Except for the little girl.
So, that's all the time we got for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Steve.
I'm Adam.
And this has been The Errant Venture.